All right, guys, thank you so much for coming. I'm Jessica Carter, and today we're going to talk about pain management the natural way. And so hopefully you guys can see this. So as you're looking at it kind of mentally, or feel free to even write it on a paper, to kind of rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in these categories. So do I have, or does someone in my life have that chronic pain? Like every single day I have pain. So I do have an autoimmune disease. And so this was a part of it for me. My platelets crash, and that's what they stay really low, or they used to, and that makes people bruise easily. So for most of my life, the bottoms of my feet were bruised and I didn't know it. And I was a waitress, and waitresses' feet hurt, and I was a soldier in the army and soldiers' feet hurt, and I was a teacher and teachers' feet hurt. And so it just went unnoticed for me for about 20 years before I had that diagnosis. Is it emotional pain? So can you like physically feel that emotion? Maybe it's like heaviness on your chest, or maybe it's that upset stomach, or that gut upset stomach. Or is it occasional pain where you're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days? So just kind of mentally, or even on paper, write that down. And yet again, I feel like we bring this up every time, but this is so important that we start with that basis of eating right, nutrition. And even if we're eating the perfect diet, we're not getting everything we need out of it because it's been bred out of our nutrition for so long. So if you the nutrition class that we taught, you might remember that it takes, I think it's 100 apples today to equal the vitamin C or vitamin D, I can't remember, in one apple in like 1950s. So it's really just been bred out. So all of us need that supplement to really supplement even the best diet to make sure our body gets everything it needs. The body wants to heal itself. And when we give it that proper nutrition, it is geared to do that. Then we want to talk about exercise and weight management. So if we're talking about pain, weight loss is going to help with that, especially with, back and knees and ankles, but also exercise that's low impact is going to help with that too. So walking is going to help kind of like moisten those joints. Stretching, yoga, things like that are going to help those joints as well. Sleep is huge. I bet most of you can have a day where like you had a lot of pain one day, but you got a great night's sleep, and then the next day you had less pain. The body can do so much maintenance when it gets a great night's sleep. And then obviously we want to start reducing those toxic loads. And I think that one kind of slips our mind a little bit when we think about pain. But when we're putting all these chemicals on our body, or even in our house, when we're using cleaning products that are toxic, the body's having to put all its energy to fight and filter that. And it doesn't have that energy to heal itself. And then the top two are where the essential oils really come in. But we want to do that basis, that strong base, all the way up. And I'm going to show you a little bit and this is really kind of how I started as well. So most people who start in essential oils, we do that triangle upside down. And so we're just using essential oils, which that should actually be the smallest part. We should be starting at that bottom shelf and flip that triangle like it's actually a pyramid. So if you can see on that bottom shelf, for pain management, our multivitamins, our LLVs are the number one. It's our number one selling product anyway. And that's because it really works. The other one on there is Terrazyme. So it's just going to go into that body and it's going to clean it up as long as you're taking it on an empty stomach. If you're taking it with food, it's going to clean up the food, help you keep the good stuff from food and get rid of the bad stuff for food. And a probiotic. Believe it or not, pain is going to come a lot from that gut health. Now, there are a few essential oils down there that are for everyday use. So lemon. We should all be drinking lemon as soon as we wake up. It's going to do a gentle cleanse, and it's going to help cleanse away all the stuff that the body did overnight, and that's going to assist with pain management. Frankincense is on there, so putting a drop under our tongue every single morning to calm any inflammation on the body. On Guard, if we're diffusing On Guard in the afternoon, our body is not having to use its own energy to be peppy. The On Guard's going to help, and it's going to go in there and clean up that body so the immune system can look at something else. It can look at healing something else. And then also stress is huge. That's why balance is on there. So every single day we should be putting balance on the bottoms of our feet, even over our heart. So we're keeping that stress down. So the body's not taking all its attention over to stress and anxiety, and it can work on healing itself. Now, I thought it was pretty interesting that toothpaste was on that bottom shelf. I don't know if anybody else was like, why is toothpaste on the bottom shelf? But I think what it's starting to say here is, one, the toothpaste in the store has tons of crap in it, and we're putting that in our mouth, and our body is having to deal with those toxins that we're putting straight into our mouth. And also, it's one of the cheaper things you can trade out. So I really think that toothpaste is helping lead us up to that second shelf where we start to remove those toxins from our lives. And the reason that that's the second shelf, in my opinion, instead of the bottom shelf, is because that's a journey for most people. So when I was getting toxins out of my house, it took me about a year. And guys, I had an autoimmune disease. I was having to go to the doctor and have my blood drawn all the time. I was in extreme pain. And it still took me a year to get toxins out of my house. So I'm never going to judge somebody who wants to use up a product and then replace that product, because that's what I did. And so as we're moving to that second shelf, when our hand soap is empty, we searched it on either the EWG website or your Think Dirty app on your phone. If it's in the red, and honestly, I threw away my yellows too. If it's in the red and it's empty, I threw it away and I ordered a non-toxic product to replace it. Then the shampoo, I waited till it was empty. It was in the red for me, so I replaced it with a non-toxic product. And so when I started using doTERRA products, one, we're getting 25% off already because we have our wholesale account, and we're getting percentage back. So most of us in here are probably getting 10% back, up to 30% back. And when you combine those two things, so 25% off and 30% back, it's cheaper than what I was paying in the store. It's delivered right to my house. It's quality, and I know I'm not hurting my body. I know I'm actually helping my body heal. So you can kind of see that second shelf, and then that top shelf is where we're going to start using those essential oils, and they're going to work better. You'll need less, and you'll need them less often if we start at the bottom of that pyramid and work up. Now, something interesting when I was taught this system is there are some essential oils that you take off the top shelf and put them on the bottom shelf. They're going to be everyday oils for you. So for me, lemon, lavender, and peppermint for allergies, I do that every day. I do clove every day for my gums and for my autoimmune disease, because it's going to clean up there and let my immune system just take a step back and be like, oh, you've got that clove. I don't have to attack anything, including myself. I probably should know my daily oils. I'll put a drop of copaiba under my tongue every single day. I want to just calm my nervous system down. So that's a bottom shelf oil for me. So it's kind of cool to me that this is adjustable and you can move things down to that bottom shelf. If you have questions about that, go ahead and type those in the chat and I'll answer them at the end. All right, so chronic pain. First of all, we want to provide a healthy response to oxidative stress. That's going to be things like we want to help with bone health. We want to make sure we're getting enough calcium, magnesium, zinc, vitamin D, and we want to support healthy joint function and comfort. So that's going to be LLVs, or our multivitamins, Lifelong Vitality. We have a cool thing called Yaropalm capsules. It is super high in zinc and D, so that's a great one. And I'll talk about some other things as we get to that next page. Emotional pain. So that's going to be a lot of brain function and also gut function. We want to help protect the body against oxidation, and then healthy function of brain and eyes, and all of that, all is going to be connected to emotional pain as well. And then occasional pain, I'd be willing to bet occasional pain almost goes away with LLVs, Terrazyme, and PB Assist. So when I first started, I was using Deep Blue all the time. And now I almost never have to use Deep Blue because I'm giving that firm foundation at the bottom. All right, so in the past, probably a lot of us have had to use pain medications before we found out about these amazing essential oils. And here are some dangers of using pain medication. I don't know if you guys know that, but it causes more deaths than car accidents every year. Pain medicine does. It's considered safe because they're prescribed by a doctor. So obviously they must be safe, and they're legal. So obviously they must be safe. They give a sense of euphoria. And so that's really what becomes addictive for it. It's not necessarily the pain relief that becomes addictive. It's that euphoria feeling that people kind of chase and become addicted to. I think it's pretty well understood that this is overprescribed. So 90% of people with chronic pain are prescribed opioids. And you probably know we have an opioid epidemic in this country, and it really becomes from this over prescription. So if we tried, nutrition first, and then tried adding supplements, and then tried adding essential oils, and then that opioid was that very last choice, I think we could greatly reduce this opioid epidemic that we have in this country. So tips for weaning off pain meds. Number one, I can't believe this wasn't on there. Talk to your doctor. So we do not wean ourselves off of pain medication. So we tell our doctor, look, I want to start weaning off of this. Can you monitor me while I do this? And then we really want to increase that water intake. You can see it says 4 liters a day. Grapefruit, lemon essential oil. So any citrus, we're going to want to pull it down to that bottom shelf and make sure we're drinking a lot of citrus water. We want to replace the habit. So it was that euphoria that we're missing. So if we can learn to do deep breaths with an essential oil that's very calming or very uplifting, exercise where we can get that runner's high or that CrossFit high that comes after that. Even yoga for me has that amazing euphoric feeling after I do it. And then we're kind of replacing that. So when I'm feeling down, I replace it with breath work. When I'm feeling down, I replace it with that essential oil. When I'm feeling down, I go for a run. And slowly we're going to rewire our brain to crave that over the medication. Obviously, we need to be taking our Lifelong Vitality, and someone in your area needs to be supportive. So husband, I'm going to try to wean myself off. I'm going to need support during this time. So here are the samples that people tend to buy for pain. And so you can see they're kind of organized. So joint pain are turmeric capsules, Deep Blue Rub, Deep Blue Complex. So I do take the Deep Blue Complex every single day. So that's a supplement for me. But I probably use Deep Blue Rub maybe once a month now. And when I started essential oils, I was probably using it every single day. If it's muscle, you can change it to Copaiba's great for just calming muscles because it's going to help with that nerve pain. And marjoram helps the blood go to that area. And when you can get blood to go to that area, it can really be healing. For emotional pain, hopefully you guys have heard about the Adaptive line. We talked about it a bit when we did the emotions class. It's my favorite new product that just released in September. It's absolutely amazing. Any uplifting scent, so maybe Elevation, Citrus Bliss. I don't know if you guys have smelled Citrus Twist. That's free this month at 125 PV. Sorry to people who are watching the recording, and it might not be free this month, but Citrus Twist smells incredible. It is so yummy. It's up there with Citrus Bloom for me. It is so good. And then you can see frankincense here. So frankincense, a drop under the tongue, it's actually extremely uplifting. So this is going to be in the video. Maybe doTERRA is going to make me take it out. But my mom had back surgery, and she was using maybe 3 opioids for back pain. And I made her a roller with frankincense, Deep Blue. A lot of people message me for this recipe. So 20 drops of frankincense and Deep Blue, 10 drops of cypress, peppermint, and lemongrass. And she would just roll it on her back area. And she actually came off of the pain medication before the surgery. Then after surgery, you know, they gave her the pain medication again because she just had back surgery. She took one and then switched to frankincense under the tongue and back to that pain roller. She took one prescription drug after back surgery. So I'm serious when I talk about we could try other things first. I don't want people to be running around in pain. I'm just saying there's some things we can try before we go straight to an opioid. Digestive pain. So obviously you can see LLVs listed on all of these. LLVs, Terrazyme, PB Assist, Digestin, Tamers for kids, but also works great on adults too. And then our new peppermint gel caps. So these are pretty amazing. So they won't dissolve until they're in the stomach to make sure all that peppermint goodness gets to the stomach. So before it, like, you know, might get absorbed a little bit in the mouth, it might get absorbed a little bit on the way down, and maybe by the time it got to the stomach, it's not quite as potent it was if it opened up in the stomach. So that's a pretty cool one too. People who weren't having great success for digestive reasons have found that the peppermint gels are just what they needed because it opens in the stomach. And then we all know about head tension and migraines. And if you Google doTERRA headache, you can see a chart and it tells you what oil, like show a picture, like is your headache here? Is your headache here? Is your headache here? And it'll tell you what essential oil. I send that picture out like every other day to people who are like, what essential oil do you use for headaches? And I'm like, which of these looks like yours? And then they tell me. But you can see here, copaiba, frankincense, past tense. I know past tense is going to be specifically for tension headaches. Eucalyptus or breathe would be for sinus headaches. And I'm guessing there's one more over there and I can't get this thing to move and see what it, there. Oh, there's not, okay. And what's the other one? Peppermint. So if it's tension, really massaging it into the neck and shoulders and then going to the face, going to the hairline and temples. Notice I didn't get anywhere near my eyes when I did that. So we're not like rubbing on our face here with peppermint because then you're just crying for the next hour because it's potent. All right. And so let me stop recording, I think.